Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank, where I climb the Online Series 9 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we're trying out a team that was able to get number 1 on the ladder just a couple of days ago. It was built by a player called Willy. I think we've actually featured one of Willy's teams on the channel before, and he had a really impressive win rate, going I think 45-9 with this, so over 80% win rate with this team. So a lot of cool components to it. I was just talking earlier in a couple of episodes back about how, you know, while this is obviously the same format as Series 7, we're going to see some metagame developments, one of them being potentially Dynamax Regieleki, right? That's something we saw a little bit more of in Series 8, really picked up towards the end of Series 8. So this team actually features that Dynamax Regieleki with Life Orb, Rising Voltage, Electro Web, Hyper Beam, and Protect, and you can combo it with Gothitelle. Gothitelle traps your opponents in, so it allows you to just really snipe and pick up knockouts really quickly, right? If you lead Gothitelle plus Regieleki, you can just go straight for Fake Out Max Lightning or Helping Hand Max Lightning, pick up a lot of KOs very, very quickly. The Gothitelle is actually a little bit speedy as well, and also features Taunt and Hypnosis. So Helping Hand Max Lightning will often just pick up one-hit KOs onto most, Trick Room users. This team is, I would describe it as more hyper-offensive than not, so as a result, you really don't want Trick Room to go up against you. So Gothitelle plus Regieleki is a really cool combination here. There's also a choice Scarf Vanilluxe. That's one of the other reasons I wanted to feature this team. And Scarf Vanilluxe makes sense, obviously able to outspeed most things in the format. And if you think about some of the faster threats, you've got things like Landorus-T and Dragapult, so Vanilluxe is really handy in dealing with those. To round out the team, pretty standard sets in AV Landorus, Rose Incense Rillaboom with Protect, and then Water Urshifu. So a lot of cool components here. I think that the Gothitelle plus Regieleki alone just makes this team super, super strong for best of 1 play. And it's really exciting to see, a team in Series 7, or now Series 9, kind of adapting to the metagame, because it felt like we didn't really see Dynamax Regieleki at all back in Series 7, maybe very rarely, but that's something that actually became a little bit more meta towards the end of Series 8. So it's always fun to see how a metagame progresses, right? Yeah, this is the same rule set as what we were playing with a couple of months ago, but teams are going to be pretty different, and it's still very underexplored in my opinion. So huge thank you to Willy for the team. I've linked his Twitter down in the description below, as well as a rental and a paste courtesy of him. Thank you to you all, as always, for watching Road to Rank. If you enjoyed, please share your support by leaving a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. And question of the day, with us using Regieleki, that's probably going to Dynamax a fair amount of times. I want to know what your favorite Pokemon to Dynamax is in the comment section below. My answer, I feel like I really like Steel types in general, just because you do a lot of damage with them, but you can also boost yourself defensively. It's like Duraludon, Excadrill were some of my favorite ones to play with. But yeah, let me know your answers down in the comment section below. And let's get started. Alright, getting into the first game of the day, and there's a Gengar on my opponent's team, which is pretty cool. Landorus, Gengar, Rillaboom, Aleki, Urshifu, and Metagross. Okay. So they have their own Aleki, which scares me like a little bit. Gengar is also probably going to be... Well, actually, what's interesting here is they have Gengar and Urshifu. Both of those often want the Focus Sash. So, I don't think Rillaboom provides us that much value, although I suppose it's good just for dealing with Aleki on their end. And their Landorus-T is going to be an issue. But this is where Scarf Vanilluxe could be kind of handy. If I'm my opponent, I would lead Rillaboom plus something. What am I most scared of? Rillaboom Metagross, maybe? I don't think they're going to lead Landorus because we have Vanilluxe. So I want to go Gothitelle plus Aleki, Vanilluxe in the back. And then for the last one... Lando has Intimidate here. Assault Vest is pretty handy. Gives us a switch into their Aleki as well. It's probably Landorus here. I don't think Rillaboom or Urshifu offer us that much. And AV Landorus is just nice as a switch it into Regieleki specifically. So, yeah. Alright, so let's get into things here. Pretty cool team from my opponent's end for sure. Gengar is something that we don't see too much of. Totally could be Gigantamax Gengar. And I think in general it's... Gengar is actually one of my favorite Pokemon to use in early VGC 15, like Taunt, Icy Wind, Will-O-Wisp. It's just pretty cool support with Focus Sash. And there it is, actually. It's going to be Gengar plus the Rillaboom. Okay. What do I want to do turn 1? We've trapped the Rillaboom in. I have Helping Hand support. I have Lando-T in the back, which is pretty good against these. If I'm expecting Fake Out onto Gothitelle here, honestly the play I want to make the most is Helping Hand and Max Strike. This Gothitelle is actually speedy, So what that allows me to do is potentially Hypnosis Gengar next turn. We have decent Gengar answers in the back, right? Yeah. So I think I'm down to just turn 1 go for a Helping Hand max and then Max Strike into Rillaboom. So let's see. Ideally they go for Fake Out onto Gothitelle. Maybe they go for Fake Out Shadow Ball, but that's fine. The trap isn't super important past like a turn or two, I think. Like that's why just leading Gothitelle Alecki can often snowball the game so quickly for you in the early game that it gives you a monumentous lead. So having Vanilluxe in the back is nice as well, because with Scarf Vanilluxe we can just, you know, double target the Gengar. I just don't know if this KOs Rillaboom if they're Assault Vest. Okay, great. They go for Fake Out onto Alecki. Yep, that works too. And once again, that's the beauty of the, the beauty of Dynamax Alecki. That is AV Rillaboom though, unfortunately, so they take that decently well. Okay. Probably Taunt or Shadow Ball here. Yeah, they're just gonna Shadow Ball. How much does this do? Is way too much damage. Okay. Not really too pleased about that damage output, but it's fine. Don't know if another Max Strike KOs Rillaboom from this range. Now the thing is, I'm faster, and they're not going to expect that. So we have Hypnosis, which is kind of neat. So like, I'm thinking we Hypnosis the Gengar here, and then Max Strike again into the Rillaboom. Yeah, I think I'm down for that. We also could have just gone Helping Hand Max Strike, but the problem with that is if my opponent goes Glide and Shadow Ball into Regieleki. And then we just lose Regieleki. Yep, there's the Glide going out into Alecki. Oh, actually, I don't think Shadow Ball will KO. Okay, that's kind of cool. We don't want to Max Lightning yet, because that sets up the Electric Terrain. That's not good for us. And nice, that actually knocks out the Rillaboom. So if we connect with this Hypnosis, we're actually in really good, a really good spot, in my opinion. So let's see. Gothitelle is going to miss, unfortunately, but high risk, high reward play, right? They're actually going to go for an Icy Wind, but we still outspeed because the Gengar's at -2 speed right now. Okay. I mean, the thing with Regieleki is you normally want to snowball knockouts, and it was, like, unfortunately, Rillaboom plus Gengar was actually, like, the best duo my opponent could have had to give me some issues, because Gengar's often going to have the Focus Sash, right? And if I max Lightning, then I can't go for Hypnosis. So, yeah. Okay, they're going to bring their last one. It is going to be Landorus-T. No surprise there. I mean, now the question is, what item do I think your Landorus-T is? It's not Assault Vest, obviously. I could pretty easily switch into my Landorus right now. Plus, we have Scarf Vanilluxe in the back, which is very good, right? It's, like, pretty easy to switch into Landorus. Max. Oh, but they might Icy Wind here, and we really don't want to get hit by an Icy Wind, right? Yeah. It's probably Lunlando. I like Max Striking here. I mean, you're going to Max Landorus here. I like Hypnosis onto Gengar and Max Strike here into Landorus, because once we get Max Strike off, we just bring in Scarf Vanilluxe and just Blizzard. Like, they probably feel tempted to max their Landorus right now. Okay, they switch out Gengar. So this means if we connect with Hypnosis, assuming we outspeed Landorus, like, we're in phenomenal shape. Although this now begs the question, like, you have Urshifu and you have the Gengar, so like, what actually had the Focus Sash? Because I could have launched just Max Lightning onto the Urshifu slot here. We're not max speed Alecki. I think it's like modest max speed rather than timid max speed, but I think we should still outspeed Lando here at -1. Oh, we don't. Okay, that's actually not great. But they end up going for Airstream onto Gothitelle. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, we'll get a Max Strike off, but at what cost? I can bring in Landorus or Vanilluxe right now. Pretty good damage from Max Strike. If I had to guess, this Urshifu is banded rather than scarfed. Sorry, not banded rather than sash. Gengar with sash just makes the most sense. Either way, we can bring in Vanilluxe now. We also have Icy Wind with this thing. So if my opponent doesn't go for a priority attack onto Alecki, like, we could just Icy Wind. Landorus is our last one. They're at neutral speed right now. I guess it could be Scarf Urshifu as well. He definitely could be. Okay. I mean, do they just Sucker Punch here? Blizzard is super free. But the thing is, I could see them, like, protecting Landorus and close combating this thing. So one play we could make is Icy Wind. Icy Wind into Rising Voltage if I'm expecting Lando Max Guard here, because they're not Assault Vest. I think I'm gonna go for that read. Okay, they didn't Max Guard, unfortunately. Okay, we don't KO Landorus, but maybe it's fine, because if we knock out the Urshifu, you can only pick up 1 KO right now. Yeah, honestly, that's okay. I mean, the thing is, if I just went for Blizzard there, Blizzard plus Rising Voltage, that's just a double KO, right? You probably Rockfall here for my opponent. But now, okay, they just go for another Airstream onto Vanilluxe. We actually end up surviving. Okay, so I think Scarf Vanilluxe is very good for us right now, right? Because we still outspeed the Landorus. So I can just Icy Wind. Yeah, I think Scarf Vanilluxe wins it for us here. As long as we don't miss Icy Wind. If I just went Blizzard and Rising Voltage last turn, I actually think that would have just won us the game, but I think Landorus, like, max guarding there feels reasonably likely. We know that they're not Assault Vest, right? Now we have Landorus-T in the back of our own, so that's good too. Just double check the speeds. They're at neutral. Everything's at... These are both at neutral, so importantly enough, we can just go for Icy Wind into Rising Voltage, into Gengar. Yeah, so Scarf Vanilluxe is so huge for us right now. So unless they're Scarf Gengar, which they're not, yep, that should win us the game. Beautiful. So this is the power of Scarf Vanilluxe. I'm actually really happy to, you know, feature both the Dynamax Lecky, the Gothitelle Lecky combination, and the Vanilluxe. And honestly, with this team, I think often turn 1 will play out a little bit better, or like just in general, like the couple turns of max with the Lecky, we didn't actually really pick up KOs with it. But the reality is that because they didn't bring Metagross, this was actually the perfect game for Vanilluxe. We just needed to eliminate the Rillaboom early on, because Glide obviously can do a fair amount of damage. So, like, I wasn't very happy about how our turns with the Lecky played out. If we hit the Hypnosis on Gengar, you know, that would have helped. Them being faster than Landorus-T after us being at -1, a little unfortunate, but, you know, it's to be expected. Because if we were faster than we connect Hypnosis onto Urshifu, we're just in such good shape. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, actually, it wouldn't have made a difference, right? Because my Goth was already lowered as well. So we were never going to get Hypnosis off there because they targeted my Gothitelle. Either way, like with the Lecky, normally you want to pick up like 2 KOs with your turns of max. We didn't even do that. We only got 1 KO, like 1.5. But Scarf Vanilluxe was like the perfect Pokemon to have here in the back. And Scarf Icy Wind was actually so good. So, like, even though my opponent had a late game Dynamax, Vanilluxe was like the perfect Pokemon to deal with that late game Dynamax, and so it was super handy for us there. But yeah, that was a really fun game, and I'm happy to feature what Scarf Vanilluxe can do. So let's get into the next one. All right, next match of the day, and we have Weezing Regigigas. This is not an easy matchup for us. Okay, so I actually played against Weezing Gigas while I was practicing with the team, and I found that the most effective method would be Gothitelle Urshifu lead, because you can fake out Weezing close combat the Gigas, or just helping hand close combat Gigas turn 1. We definitely want to max a Lecky in this one, I think. Last one is actually pretty interesting. Rillaboom is actually pretty decent for late game damage output. Although, Landorus is really solid here, because if we don't think they're going to play with Lapras, like they go Weezing, Gigas, Lecky, Incin, late game Landorus can do a lot of work just with Earthquake. So, alright, I'm down with this. The problem with Weezing Gigas is that, like, the Weezing shuts down Transistor on Regieleki, right? Regieleki also gets demolished by Max Gigas. So basically, we want to lead Gothitelle Urshifu to get a lot of damage off on the Regigigas, enough where then we can bring in the Regieleki and then just Dynamax Lightning it afterwards. That also gives us more turns of Dynamax to work with, and we have a later Dynamax. So the thing about turn 1 here is whether or not I want to just fake out the Weezing and go for a close combat on the Regigigas, or go for something like a Helping Hand close combat. Those are the two options. Now, if it's fast Weezing, like, theoretically, they could double up onto the Urshifu. Helping Hand close combat is kind of just like a game-winning play turn 1, though. one, they'd have to double up on Urshifu, which feels unlikely because you want to cover the Gothitelle slot. I guess the problem is they could also just go for like Max Strike onto the Gothitelle and then Will-O-Wisp onto the Urshifu. Helping on close combat's just kind of nice. But I think I'd rather play it safer turn 1. I'm just going to go for the safe fake out onto Weezing and close combat onto the Regigigas. Because I personally would run... Oh, interesting. They protect... I was going to say you don't want to protect in front of an Urshifu, but that obviously works out here. Yeah, so now I'm really glad I didn't just Helping Hand close combat. Okay. Yeah, they flinch. I mean, now, though, that's actually a really smart protect. Now you can just Max Strike, double up onto Urshifu if you're actually faster. I have Hypnosis here, so I actually think it's fine to go for Hypnosis on a Regigigas and close combat. But if... Okay, they're actually going to switch Gigas out. That's very interesting. Into Amoonguss. Okay. Yeah, so it's not every day you get to see a switch out like that, but this is where like Hypnosis could be so big for us right now. Yeah, so Weezing being able to shut down Shadow Tag is, you know, obviously not amazing for us, but we are able to actually connect with Hypnosis here, which is really, really nice for us. Probably going to get hit by a Will-O-Wisp on the Urshifu. Yeah. That was actually really smartly played. Like, that was very effective in dealing with my, my Urshifu, so... My opponent didn't get baited and just maxing turn 1, and that was like really, really smart on their end. So kudos to them. Okay. I have Taunt, I have Hypnosis. I think the play I want to go for here is Taunt into the Amoonguss, switch Gothitelle out into Regieleki. Because then I can Dynamax Aleki and just go Max Lightning onto the Weezing slot. Now I might eat up a Sludge Bomb here on Aleki, which feels kind of bad, but I think it's okay. Because if we could eliminate Weezing, then Regigigas, even when maxed... Well, actually, I guess it's still a pretty darn big threat. Like, it just still does... Because we're not super defensive right now. Either way, that was a really smart first 2 turns by my opponent, so... Yeah, really, really well done on their end. Okay, Weezing protects, nice. With Taunt into Amoonguss now, I can just... In the end, like, Hypnosis didn't make that much of a difference because we would have prevented them from doing anything anyway, but now they're like just in a pretty awkward spot with the Amoonguss. The taunt just lasts for more turns. I guess I didn't need to taunt it this turn. I could have taunted last turn, but now I can just go for a Helping Hand Max Lightning onto the Weezing slot. The only downside is as soon as I Max Lightning, I set up Electric Terrain, but I think it's fine to go for it here. Weezing probably wants to consider switching out, but nothing in the back can take a Helping Hand Max Lightning right now, I think. Like, it should just fall to anything. And if we knock out Weezing, that's great, because now you're trapped in because of Gothitelle with Shadow Tag. And then you also don't have Weezing to support the Regigigas. That being said, I really should... I want to give my opponent kudos, because I think if they just straight up attacked with Regigigas turn 1 and maxed, we'd actually be in a really advantageous position with Dynamax Aleki in the late game. So, they played this early game really, really well. Amoonguss is switching out, but that means Weezing is staying in, which means that we can just snipe it off with Helping Hand Max Lightning right now, which is a really big deal. I think my problem here is that Max Quake might still KO us. So then what this next turn comes down to, I think, is whether or not Amoonguss wakes up. I could also Max Guard, Aleki, Taunt, Amoonguss, and then Helping Hand Max Lightning, but the Gigas actually has Protect too. So a lot of Gigases don't run Protect, right? Or not a lot, but a fair amount. So the nice thing here is we should knock out Weezing. Unless they go for a double protect. I also could have tried to just Helping Hand Max Lightning the Amoonguss slot, which would have been really sick. But I don't mind getting the knockout onto Weezing here. Cool, okay. Another thing to note is that I do have Intimidate, right? With the Landorus. So, like, I could switch Gothitelle out into Landorus, get the Intimidate off now against Regigigas. Slow Start is activated now as well, and you're trapped in. So those are all good things for us. It's just whether or not I want to gamble this next turn, because Regigigas Max might still one-shot Regieleki. That's the only thing. I don't know that calc super well. Pretty easy to switch into Landorus here for an Intimidate. I think with Intimidate we'll definitely survive. So I think I'm going to go into Landorus here and just go for Max Lightning onto Regigigas. The other play is, you know, just helping hand max lightning, and if you stay asleep with the Amoonguss, we just win. So we basically had a 2/3 chance to, like, win the game outright here. But I don't feel like we need to risk it. Because let's say Regigigas actually one-shots Regieleki. Like, that's a really big problem, right? Oh, interesting. They don't max Gigas. Okay, so we one-shot it here. Well, that's smart then, because then this gives you a chance to max whatever your last Pokemon is. Okay. So let's see what their last one is. I mean, we obviously have a really big numbers advantage right now. Regieleki has put in so much work for us, but... It's Incineroar. Wow. Okay. Well, now I feel very good about our position. Okay. Kind of a waste to bring in Landorus to not get Intimidate off. I mean, you max Incin now, right? Like, I'm going to switch out into Gothitelle. And... I think Max Flare KOs Regieleki. And I'm just going to Max Lightning into... I think I'd rather Lightning into Amoonguss. Well, Incin doesn't have Protect, right? So it's guaranteed damage. Amoonguss probably Rage Powders. I'm really surprised to see Regigigas not max, but I guess my opponent didn't want to max it because obviously Slow Start was activated, right? Wait, I'm confused. They're just not maxing at all. Alright, they go for Fake Out Rage Powder, which makes some sense, but like I think it's just too far lost at this point. But this was the thing, right? And this is the downside with Weezing Regigigas. Like, if it can't just sweep through that easily. Okay, so we get Max Lightning off. I mean, I guess it's fine that my opponent did max there. Like, they probably didn't max because they didn't think they'd knock out Regieleki anyway. So actually, that makes a lot of sense. Now I can just go for a Helping Hand and Rising Voltage into Incineroar. If Amoonguss redirects it away, you Flare Blitz, but then I bring in Landorus for Intimidate. And with Urshifu in the back, I think this is basically a wrap. What if they max the Amoonguss? Is there anything they can do with that? I don't think so, but that would be really interesting. Okay, they're just not maxing. They know they can still max, right? Maybe not. Maybe they've just forgotten. Either way, like, I think even if they maxed, this game was pretty much still over. But they played the early game really, really well, which is that they were never in a position to actually max. And this is where Hypnosis is really good, right? Like, yes, it's a high-risk, high-reward move, but in the position we used it, like, we had nothing to lose. Even if we missed there, like, it's totally fine, right? So this Gothitelle was so good, especially against Amoonguss, especially because it's actually safety goggles as well. I actually forgot to even mention that. So I think my opponent probably should have maxed Regigigas the turn we just went for the Max Lightning onto it. That would have at least given them, like, a better shot. But we because they didn't try to... Oh, Amoonguss, yeah, did try to Rage Powder there, right? Or maybe they try to Protect. Either way, we can just Helping Hand and Rising Voltage. Now, Rising Voltage just does so much damage when you have the Electric Terrain up as well. So, yeah. I think in the end, like, the early game was really smartly played on their end, but in the end, they also weren't able, like, didn't able to get too much damage on because they actually brought Amoonguss. The Gothitelle was able to, like, put it in a really tough slot where we could basically ignore it. And as soon as we pinned the Amoonguss in, Regieleki could come out and just put in so much work. So, yeah. Definitely a pretty good showing for Regieleki there, but we couldn't lead it just because I think if we lead Regieleki into Weezing Gigas, which I think our opponents is almost always going to lead, puts us in kind of an awkward spot. But, yeah. I think, you know, initially when I saw Weezing Regigigas the first time I played, when I was practicing with this team, I was like, wow, this matchup looks really bad, but Urshifu Gothitelle is, like, decently reliable. I'm glad I didn't just gamble and go for Helping Hand Close Combat on Regigigas turn 1, because it looks really, really nice if you get it off, but there's a lot that can go wrong. So, yeah, in the end, being able to just get a lot of damage off was good, and then as soon as you take care of Weezing, Regigigas is in a much tougher spot. So, the thing here was that my opponent didn't end up maxing, but they were never in a great position to max, right? Because at that point, you're relying on maxing either Regigigas outside without Weezing, and I've intimidated you, or you're maxing Incineroar, and we certainly had enough tools, especially with Regieleki in general. Like, if you can make it through your 3 turns of max with this Regieleki and still have the Electric Terrain up with Rising Voltage, you just do so much damage across the board, especially with Life Orb and Transistor. So, yeah. But, yeah, that was a pretty fun one, so let's look for our next game. Alright. Ooh, hard Trick Room with Rhyperior and Marowak. Oh gosh. This is bad. This is very bad. Because our answer against Trick Room... Okay, let's think this through. How do they set up Trick Room? Your easiest way is Amoonguss plus Gothitelle, or Amoonguss Mimikyu. Amoonguss Mimikyu. I basically am asking myself, is there any way I can deny Trick Room on turn 1? I'm honestly thinking it's Vanilluxe. Okay, I could fake out with Gothitelle though. Oh, but I can't fake out Mimikyu. But I have Taunt, but Mimikyu's probably Mental Orb. It's Vanilluxe Rillaboom, right? Because I can Blizzard and just Woodhammer. Yes. Urshifu in the back. I mean, I just don't feel great about Regieleki here. They have Marowak and Rhyperior. And those are both really major threats. So I think we have to deny Trick Room here. If we don't deny Trick Room, it's just really bad. But I think Vanilluxe Rillaboom works here, because if you go Amoonguss Mimikyu or Amoonguss Hatterene with... We can even max Rhyperior theoretically. Not Rhyperior, Rillaboom theoretically. So yeah, like typically against Trick Room setups with this team, you want to lead Gothitelle plus Regieleki, because you can just Helping Hand max Lightning, one-shot any Maxmon, but with Lightning Rod support and Amoonguss on my opponent's team, it doesn't make sense. So they go Amoonguss Mimikyu, which I'm fine with. I guess the thing here is they might not set up Trick Room. Like, you could go for Will-O-Wisp onto Rillaboom and Spore onto Vanilluxe. I don't know, I really can't afford Trick Room to go up, but if they Will-O-Wisp here, it's such a good play on their end. The way I get around that is, like, fake out Amoonguss, but I think I'm just going to go for my initial game plan, which is Blizzard plus Woodhammer. Yeah. Nice! That's, like, this is the exact reason I led this. Like, Rage Powder is ineffective against us. Alright, so we get Blizzard off. Yeah, that puts us in such a good spot, because now, even if Mimikyu goes for Will-O-Wisp, Amoonguss didn't get to put the Mimikyu to, the Vanilluxe to sleep, and that's the most important thing. Woodhammer will KO here if they didn't go for Will-O-Wisp. Beautiful. And yeah, that's why you use Rillaboom. You can ignore Rage Powder. So this is a really good example of why the lead matchup is so important, and that's why you really have to utilize those 90 seconds of team preview. If I just let Gothitelle plus Regieleki here, I just lose the game, quite frankly, because they just go Rage Powder. They get Trick Room up, and Rhyperior, well, I guess, no, it's Marowak under Trick Room. Marowak under Trick Room completely crushes us, right? So, as long as Trick Room isn't up, I can at least go toe-to-toe with my opponent, because I'll attack before they can attack. But if they attack before us, because of how hyper-offensive this team is, it's just so bad for us. So, there's Marowak coming out. Okay, this game isn't won, obviously, we're in a good spot, but it's still very far from over. Now, if you're my opponent, you definitely protect the Amoonguss, and I would think you max Flare into Vanilluxe. I really don't want to switch out either of these, because I just want the free switch it into Landorus immediately. We don't want Landorus to take any damage, because it's clearly the best max option right now. So, while the Amoonguss Protect here is very obvious, I am still just going to Woodhammer and Blizzard Marowak for a little bit of chip damage. If they don't protect Amoonguss, hey, even better for us. But in this position, I don't really want to switch out, because both Landorus and Urshifu are so good for us in this endgame. And while Blizzard's good against Amoonguss, it's the whole point of Vanilluxe was to break the disguise so that I could one-shot the Mimikyu afterwards. So yeah, I don't know if we had any other lead combo that would have worked well here. I mean, if Amoonguss doesn't protect here, that's great, but I think it always does. Wow, they didn't protect. Okay. And this is another reason, right? I think one reason why my opponent didn't protect Amoonguss is because they maybe are like, hey, I'm already really far behind in this game, so how do I win? By sporing the Vanilluxe on a switch out. That's one exact reason why we didn't want to switch in that position too. The nice thing here is that my opponent flares, right? So that actually changes the weather, and that actually works in our advantage. Oh, but they flare Rillaboom, which is really smart, because now if Gothitelle was their last one, we're actually still in some trouble if we miss Blizzard and we don't one-shot Gothitelle. That was a great target to target Rillaboom there. Oh, man. Because I don't know if Max Quake one-shots Gothitelle. So I'm hoping it's Vikavolt or Rhyperior here. If it's either of those, the game's definitely over. But if it's Gothitelle, my opponent can win just by setting up Trick Room. So then it's... Actually, does Earthquake maxed Hailstorm knock out Gothitelle? Because if that KOs, we should just go for that instead. Well, let's find out what the last one is first. Sorry, not Gothitelle, Hatterene. It is Hatterene. That's not what I wanted to see. I mean, the Intimidate's good for us here. So, like, my two options here are to hit base 140 max Hailstorm and Earthquake, or risk the Blizzard. 70% of the time, this game is won, for sure. Oh. I just don't think Max Quake one-shots this thing, whereas, like, God's special defense, or not God, Hatterene's special defense is pretty good, though. I just don't think we do enough. I think I'm just going to go Blizzard and Max Quake here. I guess I actually could have targeted Marowak here because there's a chance. I think, like, if you're my opponent, you probably don't even max guard the Marowak right now. If they do, that's obviously really good for us. Because then we could probably survive a double up. I don't know. But I don't think I can gamble targeting Marowak here this turn. Okay, they do max guard. So now, yeah. Like, I think I had to cover for the max guard option. So let's see if Blizzard connects here in Sun. Nice. Okay. Vanilluxe was so clutch here. Okay, that was actually a ton of damage. Given how much that did, Max Hailstorm Earthquake was actually the better play. I guess the downside there is you could protect the Hatterene. Yeah. But, okay, we'll take it. Yeah, this is a really darn good team. Like, basically, we win this game if Trick Room doesn't go up, and we lose if Trick Room goes up. Although, in this case, I think, even if Trick Room went up, because they max guarded Marowak, we were probably fine anyway. Just switch out into Urshifu now. And, Quake. So, yeah. That's the downside with hard Trick Room. If you don't get Trick Room up, it's obviously very, very difficult to actually win the match. So, yeah. But either way, we came out of that pretty well. Like, the lead was really important, because Marowak under Trick Room just demolishes us. I don't think it's completely unwinnable if Trick Room goes up, like, but it's just really, really difficult. If you can deny hard Trick Room with this team, you really, really want to. So, you know, that's what we're able to accomplish here. But, yeah, that was a pretty fast one, so let's look for a fourth game today. Last game of the day, and Landorus, Kartana, Fini, Terrakion, Talonflame, Weavile. Very cool. They have Tailwind, that's scary, but we have Fake Out with Gothitelle, but they could lead Weavile, Talonflame if they really wanted to set up Tailwind. They obviously have Weavile, Terrakion for beat up as well. I'm not sure Helping Hand max Lightning KOs. Now, what's really interesting is that the Gothitelle is actually fast, so we could Electro Web and Hypnosis. That would be very cheeky. What's the best approach here? I mean, Rillaboom's really good just for Terrakion and Fini. What do you max if you're my opponent? Kartana? I feel like I need Landorus for Intimidate here, but I don't know how to fit it in. I like all of our Pokemon here. I think we probably drop Urshifu just because it's slow relative to my opponent's team. Okay. What about Vanilluxe, Rillaboom, Landorus? Do I really not bring Gothitelle? It doesn't feel great here. And Regieleki? I don't know about my Pokemon choice here. My opponent's team is cool. I just, like, I don't know what the best approach is. Okay, we'll see. Ideally they lead Landorus. Okay, if they go Weavile, Terrakion, that's fine, because I can just go for Glide onto Terrakion. Talonflame, I guess, is scary here. Weavile and Fini, okay. I mean, I don't mind that too much, I think. I guess the Weavile could just go for a Grass-type attack right now, and I also have to respect... What if I max Rillaboom? Is that wild? It's a little bit wild. Man, Max Alecki, like Alecki would have demolished this as a lead, but they probably have Lando in the back. This is why Vanilluxe is on the team, by the way, because like what's one of the biggest counters to Alecki? Ground-type Pokemon in general. What's good against ground-type Pokemon? This Ice Cream Cone. Okay, so turn 1. I have Icy Wind, Wood Hammer. What if I just go for that? Icy Wind here and just Wood Hammer into Weavile. I'm kind of down for that because I could see Fini switching out or protecting. Yeah, that's fine. Because you're not going to fake out here. Yeah, okay, come on. Get Icy Wind off. Nice. We outspeed now, right? Oh no, we're still slower. Oh, that's sad. I should have known that. Weavile's pretty dang fast. Fake out Icy Wind was the play there then, because then I could just Icy Wind glide the next turn. It's fine. It's still honestly not that bad. But I should have known that in terms of speed tiers. Okay. We bring in Alecki. I'm gonna keep spamming Icy Wind here. I think Icy Wind Electro Web here is acceptable. Unless the Electro Web doesn't KO. Maybe we just max? I don't know, Life Orb Electro Web into Weavile? Okay, I actually... Well, we could still max Landorus-T in the back, too. I think I will Electro Web Icy Wind here. Maybe Rising Voltage is better onto Weavile specifically. They're maxing Fini. Maybe the play that was... Or it could be max Weavile, hold on. No way, that's so cool. What? I can't even be mad about this one. We honestly had the right Pokemon here. My turn 1 was just so bad. I didn't consider... I go for a double protect, okay. The thing is, if I actually just maxed the Alecki here and went max Lightning onto Weavile, we'd be in really good shape. The problem now is I'm gonna lose, like, Vanilluxe, presumably, right? I don't think max Lightning would have KO'd Weavile, but it would allow us to survive an attack in return. Wow, that's the one option I didn't consider, and this was, like, such a good max on my opponent's end. Yeah. Like, Gothitelle Weavile honestly would have crushed this as a lead. So maybe I should have just led that. Goth Weavile Vanilluxe. But the thing with Gothitelle is that it gets crushed by... I guess, like, how many people are actually going to lead Landorus into this team, though? It doesn't feel that likely. Alright, well, we bring in Landorus now, but they should have Landorus in the back. Although, I guess, like, with Icy Wind, it's still not terrible. I think we have to Icy Wind max Rockfall here, because if they switch out into Landorus, intimidate us, and, like... It's too greedy to go for anything but a max Rockfall. I don't even know if Rockfall KOs with Intimidate, but I feel like it should. Oh, either way, yeah, if I were to replay this game, turn 1, go fake out Icy Wind, then I could go for the Wood Hammer play, but the way I approached this wasn't very smart in the end. Landorus could actually still, like, Landorus plus Vanilluxe can actually pull off a late game sweep right now. Fini getting the double protect there is actually a really big deal, but I can see why my opponent went for it. It's like one of those, well, I don't lose very much even if I don't get it, and if I get it, it's huge. Because if they don't get that double protect, Electro Web should do, like, what, 50-60%? Enough where, like, Icy Wind plus any max move from Landorus can KO. The problem now is that with that Electro Web, me not getting damage onto Fini, we're in a pretty awkward spot. So, like, it's going to be pretty tough to win this game, I think. But I'll try. That was just a great Weavile max. I probably should have just maxed the Alecki, especially because I have Icy Wind from the Vanilluxe, so it's like even if you switch in Landorus, it's not really a free switch in. They go for Muddy Water, and we dodge it with Vanilluxe. Okay, that's kind of nice because no accuracy drop. I'd rather have, like, the initial Electro Web connected and Muddy Water connected there. Or them not double protecting, but it's fine. That's definitely a lucky dodge. Ah, okay, they do have Talonflame. You just Tailwind now, right? I think I'm gonna Icy Wind max Airstream. Maybe they don't Tailwind, maybe they just Flare Blitz Vanilluxe. So I'll Icy Wind max Airstream Talonflame. Okay, they did Tailwind, yeah. Tailwind's always the correct play there. Yeah, we're still faster. Oh. I could have just... I don't know if max Airstream KOs Fini from this range. I could have max Quaked, or... I mean, just targeted Fini in general. I think the problem is now that my opponent has Tailwind up, well, we do have a speed boost on Vanilluxe. So Vanilluxe with the speed boost and Scarf might still outspeed whatever my opponent's last one is. And if I can get an Icy Win on whatever the last one is, that would be huge. Either way, Icy Win Vanilluxe has been very impressive today, regardless. Okay, Calm Mind. Yeah, that's a good play. I think that's what they should have just gone for initially, because imagine if they just Calm Minded last turn, then they could just Moonblast Vanilluxe or Muddy Water it this turn. And that's also a reason why maybe should have targeted Tapu Fini this turn. Because the thing is, now Fini can protect in its last turn of max, and so it should win. Yeah. What's the last one? Landorus? Kartana, okay. Well, definitely Icy Winding here. This is interesting. Do I predict the Fini protect? It should protect, right? I think I lose the game if I don't KO Fini. Like, because then max ends. Oh, but then I do get Earthquake. I don't even know if Icy Wind, like, max Airstream. Or actually, we should Quake in this position, right? Yeah, for a special defense boost. Part of me really wanted to target Fini this turn. Oh, okay, they're still faster with Kartana. Okay, then that's game over. It was a close attempt. If I had KO'd Fini last turn rather than... Would it make a difference? No, probably not. Them conserving Tailwind in the back was really good on their end. And then, yeah, just really, really nicely played with this Weavile. That was just such a great max. Could have Airstream there, but I don't think it makes a difference because they still outspeed us. Because we're at +2, they have Tailwind up, so it's basically an even trade-off. But my turn one was just really abysmal. I should have remembered that we were... slower than Weavile. Weavile is just in an awkward speed tier. We don't even see it that much. But it's very, very speedy. So if I just went, like, especially because, like, it's fairly... And you can see in the end, they didn't bring Landorus. So I think, like, one thing this team does really well is dissuading Landorus because of Vanilluxe. So we could have just swept through if I let Gothitelle Alecki. With Gothitelle, what would I do? Probably fake out Fini turn 1, max Alecki, max Lightning into the Weavile turn 1. That's pretty safe. Yeah. And then Alecki just outspeeds everything. So Gothitelle, maybe still want Landorus for Intimidate. And then Rillaboom. Either way, that was a really cool max Weavile. Wait, can we win this? Yeah, Earthquake. If we survive, Smart... Oh, no, we're not going to survive though, right? Yeah, there's no way. If we survived, I was gonna say Earthquake crit onto Fini. That's our win con, but turn like this. The first turn is exactly why every turn in Pokemon means so much. That's why remembering your speed tiers is really important. Yeah, Weavile's base what 125, so I shouldn't have expected to outspeed it. If I just went fake out Icy Wind, then turn 2 I could have just won Icy Wind Glide or sorry Icy Wind Woodhammer. Eliminate the. I guess Weavile could still max in that position. It'd be a pretty good position for it to max. So yeah. But that was a really cool team from my opponent, so I have no shame losing to that. Definitely, like, losing a Pokemon and gaining nothing out of it on turn 1 was really, really bad for us. Didn't expect Max Weavile turn 2. That was really cool as well. They didn't get the double protect with Fini. Maybe there was a chance. Probably not, though. No, I don't think. Even if they don't get... Like, the main thing is that they set up Tailwind and then had Kartana under Tailwind in the late game, so... We had no way to deny Tailwind either, so... I think even if they didn't get the double, they still would have won that one. Turn 1 was just really, really poorly played on my end. So, yeah, should have accounted for that, but not now I know. It's just... remembering your speed tiers is important. Weavile is just, like I said, in one of those like awkward speed tiers we don't go up against it very often, so that's why I kind of had like a brain fart on turn 1, but that's why it's always good to remember, especially when you're using like Icy Wind or Electro Web. Knowing like what you outspeed at -1 is really, really critical. And so like Gothitelle, for example, is designed to outspeed Cinderace, max speed Cinderace, while they're at -1. Rillaboom's around that speed tier, but obviously Weavile is a step above those. So yeah. Anyway, that was a really fun episode, so thank you so much as always for watching. Thank you to Willy, VGC for the team. Check him out, linked in the description below. Details for the team are also in the description below with the rent to win a pace, so feel free to try out the team yourselves. The team was really fun. I had a lot of fun playing with it today, so shoutouts to Vanilluxe, shoutouts to Regieleki, shoutouts to Gothitelle. And yeah, don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed, answer the question of the day, and I'll see you all next time. Alright, peace.